All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Gridiron Zeros podcast.
Fuck off!
We got an absolutely fantastic show for you today.
You say that almost like sarcastically, but actually I think it's a really good show.
I do too. There's no sarcasm detected whatsoever.
You're always down on the podcast.
Shut up. We have breakout players for this year. We start off talking about certain players that we think might take a big leap this year. And then we kind of go into
AFC and NFC South
record predictions. Thank you, Al. Predicting where each team lines up and how many wins they get should help you with your team total bets this year. And then finally, we cap it off with the Lions training camp news. We touch on the biggest star of Lions training camp, Jameson Williams. We talk about Dan Campbell's interview on Part of My Take. We talk about the kicker battle that's currently going on, and two players each that we're really looking forward to seeing in the preseason games happening next Friday. And let's jump right into it. Okay, Al, let's talk breakout players. We're right around the corner.
Yeah, man.
First preseason game is tomorrow.
It's very exciting.
Browns and Jets. We won't see Rodgers. We won't see Watson, obviously.
Confirmed already?
Confirmed.
Okay.
It's Zach Wilson and Kellen Mond. Your boy, Kellen Mond.
Oh, how the stars have fallen.
But let's not talk about bench warmers. Let's talk about breakout stars this year. I feel like you have a good one in mind already. I'll let you lead it off.
Well, you just mentioned two quarterbacks. Let's start off with my only quarterback on the list here. I feel like we haven't talked about him a whole lot, and I feel like not a lot of people are talking about him in general, but how about Sam Howell for the Commanders? He started one game last year. Stats didn't blow anyone away. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. They did get the win. Entering year 2, seems like he's primed to just be the starter, and they have Jacoby Brissett behind him. It doesn't seem like it's really a super close competition. It seems like they're really excited about Sam Howell, 5th-round draft pick. We talked about it a couple shows ago, how Ron Rivera said, well, he might have been a 1st-round draft pick the year before. Yeah, blah, 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 whatever. But just looking at the situation that he's coming into, it really is kind of an exciting boom or bust opportunity for him. And when we previewed the Commanders season, or talked about their off season rather, we kind of said that a lot is riding on this season with new ownership coming in, with Rivera kind of, who knows, if the season goes bad, maybe this is his last round with them. And I think Howell's right in that situation too, because if he flunks out, they're just going to draft someone or get someone. That's just the end of it. So I
feel like a clean sweep is coming in pretty quickly here.
So an NFC that's a little bit weaker right now. He's got Scary Terry. They drafted Jahan Dotson in the 1st round last year. Running game's pretty solid in Washington. Yeah. Last year I felt like I was a little bit more on the sleeper angle with them as a team. I'm not as hot on them this year. I think I'm a little less excited about them. But for him, I could see a scenario where he does break out because the expectations are so low.
That's a good point. I was going to say, I don't think they're a sleeper team this year. I think they're a snooze team this year.
They're definitely the worst in the division on paper. And I guess the Cowboys, we flamed them the other show that we previewed them. But Sam Howell.
I like that, though. I do. From what I saw in preseason last year, I did like Sam Howell. I think he had a bit of spunk to him. Similar to that like Taylor Heineke spunk, where he might just go win you the game. You don't know with him.
I think if the season was completely off the rails, like early last year, like they were kind of hanging around for a little while and they stuck with Heineke. Like I feel like if it went off the rails sooner, they probably would have just given him a couple more games. And by the end, they kind of just needed to make a switch and see what they had with them to address this offseason. So you only got the 1 game sample size. I watched some highlights. It was like, he made some good plays. Nothing that'll blow you away, but now he's kind of had a full offseason to brace himself to actually be the starter.
Yep.
He's been in the system for a year now. Expectations are low, like I said. So he's the only quarterback on my breakout candidate list, but he's number 1 for me.
Okay. I'm going to hit you with a wide receiver that I think could be top 15, possibly top 10 this year. I'm going to go with Chris Olave.
New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. Here's the situation in New Orleans. Michael Thomas is supposed to come back from injury. I'll believe it when I see it. And even when he does, I feel like I have not seen that man play a snap of football in about 2 years.
Sounds like he's been given the full green light go.
Yeah. Even with that, I don't know. He just fell off my radar so quickly.
He's also
injury and headspace stuff. I don't know.
Also, age is now a factor, and I know receivers. 30 usually isn't like you fall off a cliff, but you're starting to get to that area where you might.
Yeah.
And he's been out long enough where it could happen. But Olave had a nice year last year with the circus show of those quarterbacks.
Circus show of quarterbacks. They get Derek Carr in here now, who's a lot more stable than who they had last year.
That's a good way to put it, because I wouldn't say he's like a game changer, but he is an upgrade from Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston.
Absolutely. And news today, I believe Kamara is going to be suspended for a certain amount of games, probably to do with what happened last year.
Yeah, holdover from that ruling.
Yeah. So I think a lot of the skill players, a lot of the big skill players for the Saints are going to be out. And I think Olave has a great opportunity to make a big leap this year, develop that same chemistry that Carr had with like Devontae Adams, and be his number 1 guy right out the gate here. And they could be a great duo.
My only counterpoint to this, because I think he's a good pick, my only counterpoint is that, do you trust Dennis Allen and the Saints offense to actually produce a breakout candidate player? Because I kind of don't.
That's completely fair.
But we'll see what Derek Carr does. I think he is a huge part of it.
Yeah, it's like they got to have something. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. But I think Chris Olave has the tools. He could have a breakout season.
My second guy, also a wide receiver, and someone who's recently in training camp and getting some quotes and sound bites, talking a lot of shit, talking a lot of game. George Pickens.
Yeah, I thought that's where you were going. Yeah.
So obviously we've seen some amazing catches from him in game, and they love showing the training camp catches, the hand catches.
He did have an insane one.
There was one where he was running like a button hook and the ball nails him in the chest, but then he makes a great like diving catch one-handed to save it. But it's funny because all the comments were like, he should have just caught the ball. Like, it's, shouldn't have been a spectacular recovery. But anywho, he's on my list because he has kind of been out there talking some game, and it inspired me to kind of look into him a little bit. His stats from last year really aren't that impressive. As a rookie, he had 4 touchdowns, about 800 yards, didn't even break the 1,000-yard mark. And just another year in that system. I think Kenny Pickett developing throughout last year. They actually were looking kind of good at the end of the year, kind of spicy. So he's someone where I could see him taking a bigger step. He's clearly the wide receiver 2, I'd say right now. I think Deontay Johnson is number 1 on the depth chart.
What else did they have last year that I'm like blanking?
I think they dealt Claypool during the year. So
that's who it was. And I feel like Pickens was behind Claypool and Johnson last year for the most part.
They also have Pat Freiermuth at tight end, who's pretty solid. Najee, who's horribly overrated. Fantasy bust, in my opinion, last year was not good. But he's interesting. And the Steelers are kind of interesting because I think a lot of people looking at the AFC North would go, they're definitely the last place team, but I think they have a pretty darn good defense, and if these young guys can come in, year 2
Yep.
and make a big impact, which he's a big part of, then they might surprise some people.
No, I couldn't agree more. I actually had written down breakout duo, Pickett and Pickens.
There you go.
Because I think that offense is going to really get more ingrained and really find their footing this year. I think the Steelers were definitely a shock to me last year. I had them I want to say maybe 4 or 5 wins, and they damn near made the playoffs.
Mike Tomlin alone is worth 3.
Yeah.
Just coaching alone.
Yeah.
And that defense always overperforms. So if the offense can really start to put it together and have some breakout players this year, they might be a team we're talking about. Like, seriously, the AFC is very tough. The AFC North is tough. They're in a tough spot, but George Pickens is my second guy on the list.
My second guy on the list is a running back. Backup at a really good team for a couple years. Got overshadowed by the guy that was in front of him. Goes to this new team. The current running back, RB1, is dealing with just a tiny bit of injury lingering around, but he should be back. But I think this guy could really improve this team's offense that really struggled last year. Do you want to take a guess at who it is?
Running back who's dealing with injury is the one I'm trying to figure out here. Who's the guy in the Packers? AJ Dillon. That's my guess. AJ Dillon.
That's a good guess.
Because Aaron Jones is their lead guy, but he's sneaky, big part of that offense too.
Samaje Perine. I thought this guy was really good in Cincinnati, and just got overshadowed by Joe Mixon playing. Right? He goes to Denver. Javonte Williams is coming off, if I remember correctly, a pretty bad injury.
ACL.
In this offense, I'm telling you, they made a lot of improvements on the offensive line. They got rid of Hackett, who was god awful at play calling.
Who, by the way, not to segue, but I don't know if you've been plugged in at all this year.
What did Sean Payton say?
Yeah, and all the dirt. Well, I'm paraphrasing, and we don't need to get into the whole drama of it, but he basically was just saying what a shit job he did as a head coach, and it was like stuff you'd hear that's like off the record stuff, but he was saying it to a reporter / public interview forum. That's awesome. That was very unprofessional, and it caused a lot of ruffled a lot of feathers in the last week here.
Code.
Yeah,
I'm.
But he's like, if I was him, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
like I'm making that Walmart money now, baby. I don't care. Anyways, Samaje Perine.
Yeah.
I like it. My only thing with him is that he seemed like, at least the way they used him in Cincinnati, he is kind of like a Jamal Williams, like power back, sort of back. I think
he's really good at catching it out, though. Catching it out of the backfield and turning it up and making some plays. I think he's going to be a perfect good third down back.
Yeah, he's a perfect third down back, a great like supporting running back. He's not a running back that I would look at and go, oh, he can carry the rushing attack by himself.
Yeah, and I think Javonte Williams will still take up the brunt of it, but I think he is going to be a similar spark that Darren Sproles was. Those Saints teams.
I really think the Bengals are going to miss him. I think they kind of made a mistake by not bringing him back, because I can't imagine in this running back market he was going to cost you that much to bring back. Mm-hmm. And he made some big plays for them last year and the year before.
Well, it's always a two-way street. Maybe Perine didn't want to keep backing up Javonte. Joe.
And maybe the Bengals have someone else slotted in for that spot that they figured out that works just as well, and maybe is even cheaper if that's conceivable. But no, I like it. It's good. It's a good pick.
All right, for your last guy.
Last guy, going with a rookie here, Dalton Kincaid, tight end, Buffalo Bills.
I thought he was on the Packers.
Bills spent a first-round pick on him, pick number 25. Last 2 years of college, he had 8 touchdowns each season. Physical monster. Lots of things to like. My main reason for putting him here is that finally there's a potential for someone else than Stephon Diggs to be a pass-catching threat on that offense. I feel like Gabe Davis is overrated. They haven't really had that other guy that you really need to like lock up. And if he can live up to a first round draft pick type, and I don't think it's a luxury pick for them, that they haven't really had like an elite tight end, and they need more for Josh Allen. We talked about it a lot. It's just Josh Allen's doing too much by himself, so get him another weapon. He's someone that I could see sneaky bursting onto the scene pretty early, and that causes a lot of headaches when you have to figure out how to game plan for him and Diggs and Josh Allen.
Yeah,
because he's as much of a problem as the other two would be.
And who do they have at running back?
They had Nyheim Hines. He's out for the year, injured.
I feel like they signed somebody.
James Cook from last year.
Didn't they sign
Singletary's gone. He went to the Texans.
Did they sign Damian Harris?
Yes, that's it, from the Patriots. Yep. But I like him as a breakout candidate. I don't know. I feel like if a first round draft pick tight end can actually live up to the hype, I feel like they don't always do that. Could be someone special for that offense.
I don't hate it.
It's tough with rookies. Rookies are hit and miss the first year.
Yeah, and tight ends are a dime a dozen. I don't know. Maybe Travis Kelce has just ruined tight ends for me because he is just at such a high standard that it really doesn't feel like anybody's going to remotely get to that high level of standard.
But imagine the potential if you had on that Bills offense, if you had your George Kittle, you had your Darren Waller. If he's even a fraction of that, that's pretty good. Like that's a big problem for defenses. They'll have their hands full.
Yep, very true. Very true. All right, my last pick is going to be a duo at cornerback, a rookie and a second year. And I'm calling it now, Al. I think we might see the resurgence of the Legion of Boom in Seattle.
Wow.
Tyreek Woolen. Is it Woolen or Woodland?
Woolen.
And did Witherspoon sign his contract yet?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. But Witherspoon, assumingly, because he'll get done.
Woolen. I really like those two corners. I liked Witherspoon in the draft. I would not have hated if the Lions picked him at 6, but I was kind of hoping they wouldn't. So I was kind of happy that he went to Seattle. I think that secondary has gotten boosted recently.
I think they were definitely going to pick him at 6 because you saw everything you needed to see after he was gone.
Yep.
They packed up all the carnival and moved back
out of here.
Yeah.
So I think Witherspoon is going to be able to come in, feel comfortable knowing that he's playing around a guy who had just had a phenomenal rookie year that was overshadowed by Sauce and Hutch. He's going to have, Jamal Adams, who a lot of people would probably say is overrated, but by now I would say that he's kind of rated adequately.
Definitely well above average.
Yeah. I think he's got just a great chance to really make his mark this first year. And he has got a great system around him. Pete Carroll obviously knows what he's doing.
I was going to say that's why I love this pick, this tandem, because the Seahawks historically under Pete Carroll have definitely proven that they know the secondary.
Yep.
They've never, even in years where they're going between guys like Richard Sherman leaves and Cam Chancellor leaves, and they'll just plug in guys, they're always playing good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not elite when they're not those star investments or whatever, but definitely getting great production out of the secondary always under them.
Yep.
So spending a first round pick on a corner and having one like Woolen last year, having the impact that he had, love it.
They're going to have Bobby Wagner back, who was the leader of that defense. So I think I just think Witherspoon's in a great opportunity right now. And Woolen is only going to build on his success from last year and possibly even surpass the guys that he got overshadowed by last year. Who knows? And
going to be doing it in style in those very clean throwback uniforms, which everyone is very excited about.
At least for 1 week. Because I don't think they're wearing them too much.
I don't know off the top of my head. They should wear them more. They're really cool.
They should. Absolutely.
2023 breakouts.
That's
it, right?
That's it. That's all of them. All right, let's get into these record predictions. Okay, Al, we're at the point now where we're going to start doing some record predictions. We're going to try to predict how the NFL year plays out.
Oh my God!
I think we did pretty well on predicting the playoff teams last year, if I remember correctly. Our Super Bowl picks were not correct.
I'd have to go back and listen. I remember some of my garbage takes of who would be winning divisions.
I can tell you, you had Baltimore in the Super Bowl last year, so I knew that you were wrong there. I'm pretty sure I had Buffalo in Tampa Bay, so I was also way off base.
Uh-oh, stinky.
But we're going to get it right this year. I have a good feeling about this. Let's start out with the AFC South. Juicy division this year. We have a team that's on the uprise, a team that could see a regression, and two teams that are kind of figuring out their footing here a little bit. So who do you have in dead last?
Dead last for me, I want to say it's the same as I had last year, which ended up being off. But
don't tell me you have Tennessee.
I have Tennessee.
Oh my God!
And dead last, 5-12.
When are you gonna learn, old man?
Vrabel, similarly to how we talked about Tomlin in the last segment, is good for a couple wins, but I don't believe in this team. I really don't. And at some point, the wheels are going to fall off, and they're going to start the rebuild proper. And I think we're
division, right?
Yeah, Jacksonville won the division.
Okay.
So we're going to see Will Levis at some point this year. I don't know when. But
what?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're going to be bad, and they're going to want to see what they have with them.
That's so bizarre. The only way we see Will Levis is if Tannehill goes down with an injury.
Not true.
That's very true. Why would
the
offense has not been the issue with this team? It's been the defense.
Well, it's going to be even worse this year because they got rid of a bunch of guys in the offseason. Go back to our show and listen to everybody that they cut. But they subtracted.
The defense is probably not going to be great. But
it's going to be worse.
They also just added DeAndre Hopkins to the offense. We're not.
They're going to have to.
This offense is not going to stutter.
DeAndre Hopkins is not as coveted of a free agent as he once was. I mean, there were
Michael Thomas era.
There were only really 2-3 teams even taking a flyer on him.
Yeah,
and they were the first one.
True.
Traylon Burks is their other wide receiver who was for the most part last year
below par. Right?
Not much.
Par would be a better term to use for that.
He wasn't much, and Derrick Henry's another year older. Defense going to be worse. Divisions, it's better than last year. I'm not going to say that these teams are all like slam dunk teams, but they're better than they were a year ago, even Houston. So at some point,
Houston, I don't know about Indy.
At some point, the wheels got to fall off. I maybe was a year premature last year, but I'm saying this year is the year.
I think you're still a year premature. I have Indianapolis at the bottom of the barrel here at 5-12. I'm sorry, no. Wait, do I? No, I have Houston.
You have the Colts at 5-12.
Yeah, okay. Rookie quarterback, if they start him.
They will.
Yeah. So rookie quarterback, again, if they start him, there's a chance that Minshew sees the playing field for a while. Who knows? New head coach, fresh head coach, has never been head coach. Might take him a while to find his footing. And then this whole thing with Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I did want to say that is definitely a caveat to my ranking of them. Obviously, if they don't have him, they're not going to be very good. But I'm assuming he'll be there.
Yeah, I don't know. This offense will stutter without him. How much? I don't know. You know, like this is the whole thing with running backs right now, right? Like if the Colts offense really does stutter without them, then I don't know. Maybe Jonathan Taylor does shake up the running back market. But if they don't, then the sky is blue, right? Like it is what we thought it was.
There are a lot of question marks with the Colts,
A lot
And
of question marks right now.
but to be honest, there's a lot of question marks with this division.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I do agree that they could be in last, but I didn't put them there. I put them up a little bit higher. I think you'll be kind of surprised. But
I also think Anthony Richardson is so extremely green that he is in for an awakening with NFL defenses.
well, he's been electric with no contact in training camp. So what that's
My
worth.
God, am I ready for training camp Twitter to end? Who do you have in third place?
I have the Texans.
Okay.
And I really do think that they're going to be improved from the last couple of years. I think they have a real vision and plan for this team going forward. They finally have a coach who's not a Band-Aid 1 year stopgap coach.
Yep.
They drafted a quarterback in the top 10. They drafted an edge rusher in the these are both top 3 actually.
Yep.
And I think those moves alone will get them a couple more wins than they had last year. Plus, this division kind of being I don't want to say crap show, but I guess crap shoot would be a good way to put it. So I have them at 6 and 11 in third place. A couple more wins than last year. Not really ready to compete yet, but they are in the right direction. They also added a lot of veterans and short-term deals to just bolster up this roster, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got a couple more wins than this if things really click and they just start working year one. But I feel like this is a pretty conservative take, 6 wins. If they're worse than this, that would surprise me a little bit.
Yeah, it would surprise me too. I also have them right around that 5-6 win mark. I have them at 5 and 12, edging out the Colts for third place in the division. I hope that we see an improvement with this team, and I think we will. I think we'll see a small step, right? Similar to, well, I guess not extremely similar to Campbell's first year with the Lions, because we won 3 games. But
this roster is a lot better than that roster.
A lot better. So we should see some more wins out of this team, but I think it's a small step in the right direction. And then they really start to pick up in year 2.
I could see them getting a really surprising win, like a win no one had them getting. Little victories like that are kind of what I think this season for them should be about. Similar to the Lions, like you're saying, they're just they're building momentum. They're going in a direction that looks like it's working. So 6 wins feels like a realistic outcome for them.
Similar to the Lions win over the Cardinals, Campbell's first year, where it was just out of the blue. Nobody really gave it a shot. And we steamrolled the Cardinals. I think the Texans could have a very similar outcome with a late Titans game in the year where they kind of just put an end to the Titans season.
And DeMeco Ryans, I said it earlier, but slam dunk hiring for them.
Hire. Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully.
That was a good segue into my second place team, the Titans, at 9 and 8. While I agree with you, I do believe we see a regression. This team, similar to, I feel like this team's entering Steelers territory, where
a little too slept on.
This offense has consistently produced numbers over the past 4 years. Ever since Vrabel showed up, this offense has consistently produced numbers. Tannehill has been a consistently good quarterback in the league, even without Derrick Henry.
Sometimes better than good.
Yeah, better than good. They add DeAndre Hopkins, which is going to help Treylon Burks. Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry. I don't give a shit how old he is. That guy's not going anywhere. Defense is definitely some question marks, but hopefully they have improvements and they can get behind Vrabel and try to find some success there. I do believe we see a regression, but not a major one like you are expecting.
Well, we flip-flop here.
Yep.
I have the Colts in this spot, actually, which maybe is a little optimistic.
A little?
I have them winning 9 games. 9 and 8. I really think last year was kind of an anomaly.
Okay.
It was shockingly terrible. The whole Jeff Saturday thing was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Quarterback situation with Matt Ryan was a nightmare. Jonathan Taylor getting hurt, bad. Quentin Nelson played horrible, which is very shocking because he's one of the elite offensive linemen in the league. Darius Leonard missed a lot of time. There's a lot of reasons that
Their
things
defense was,
or Shaq Leonard. I'm sorry, not Darius
their
Leonard.
defense was atrocious, which was, I would say, the biggest surprise considering how good that defense had been in recent years.
But I think they might have a little bit of a bounce back this year, at least defensively. And if Jonathan Taylor, that's my big caveat with this, is that he needs to be there. He needs to be on that team playing well. And I think he'll want to play well because he's looking for a big contract. And you got to go prove it. I mean, I know he kind of has, but he's also coming off of an injury season and lots of question marks there. So I think they're going to have a little bit of return to form. I don't think they're good enough to surpass the Jags right now. Richardson's also a big question mark, but I kind of see him working. I kind of see this whole thing they've set up work.
Remind me, was he the Eagles DC or OC?
He was the OC, Shane Steichen, and then Gannon was the DC, and he went to the Cardinals.
Okay, gotcha.
So running a Jalen Hurts Philly-style offense.
It could be.
It could work.
It could work. It could work. Absolutely.
So I have them at 9 wins. It surprised me, but I was kind of looking through the schedule, and there's lots of games that are winnable for them.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. The one thing I would say even more important than Jonathan Taylor being there for 9 wins is Anthony Richardson. I mean, he has to work out for that team. He has to. For them to get 9 wins, he has to be
Which means that he would
good.
Which means that he would have to be starting for them right away because, like, if you start Minshew and then you make a switch, presumably it's because things are not going well.
And I feel like we've seen it time and time again. Bringing in a rookie quarterback halfway through the season, it's not going to get better because he needs time to adjust to NFL speed plays,
especially a guy like Richardson.
Yeah, especially a guy like Richardson. So
I see it working though. I see him working, and I think the biggest reason for that is just because of what we just saw with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
we just saw an enormous leap with them last year.
Very true.
And they're coming off of a Super Bowl appearance. He had a great season.
MVP candidate season.
So we'll see, but I'm feeling good about them compared to other teams in this division.
Well, we are aligned with the division winner
and win total.
And win total. We both have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 12-5. Quite the jump.
You know what? You know what it was for me. I was looking at their schedule, and there's so many games there that can win, no problem.
Yeah.
But the ones that I kind of had a harder time going over and deciding if they could get a win in those games, it was really just like the big boy matchups, the ones like against the Chiefs, against the Bengals. Like, are they ready for those yet? I know they got a win against the Chargers in the playoffs, a very squirrely comeback win, who I would consider one of the big boy matchups just because of Herbert and that defense.
Yeah.
And with those games, that was kind of like a little tougher to decide if they were going to do it. It really kind of depends if they can kind of carry that momentum that they had going out of last year and just like keep moving forward with it, because they were a lot hotter at the end of the year.
They were scorching hot at the end of the year. They had a similar Lions situation where they kind of got off to a slow start and then really picked it up at the end of the year. Unlike the Lions, they were able to secure the division and,
make a run.
So
it's there for them for the taking, though. This division is theirs to win.
They get another year with Lawrence under the belt. The schedule starting out, I mean, you're at the Colts on opening Sunday, and then you're at home against the Chiefs, you're at home against the Texans, you're at home against the Falcons, you're at home against the Bills, and then you're at home against the Colts. 4 winnable games out of the first 6, right?
For sure.
So, and you get a really long homestand. So even then, that Bills game becomes a lot more winnable when you're at home 3 straight weeks and the Bills are coming into your territory, which, am I tripping? Did they win? Was last year when they won like 9-6 or something against the Bills, or was that 2 years?
I don't remember.
I think that might have been 2 years ago. But nevertheless, I agree wholeheartedly. I think this team, it's their division for the taking.
And just on the offensive side of the ball with them, a guy that I almost put on my breakout candidate list was Calvin Ridley.
Oh yeah,
because he's back. He's there. I think he got a minor ding in practice and is being limited with snaps, but he's going to be fine for the start of the season. And if he pans out, Christian Kirk obviously was working last year. I mean, that's a nice 1-2 punch with them. And I think they got Ingram back.
I was going to say, how about this for a breakout candidate, Evan Ingram?
He was great last year.
He was.
They just got to continue in this trajectory, and all signs are pointing towards that happening. So
absolutely.
If I'm a Jags fan for once, I'm feeling pretty good about this season. It's there for you. So number 1, 12-5.
Let's switch over to the NFC South now. This division is rather interesting. We kind of talked about how 3 teams out of 4, we believe we are seeing vast improvements with the roster, whether it's coaching or quarterback play or defense. And then 1 team who might be moving in the wrong direction with all of those.
I was thinking about that a lot about our show where we talked about the NFC South and all the improvements that they've made. But as I was looking through all the matchups and everything, I'm just like, it's great. They've made a lot of improvements, but I just don't think it's going to correlate in a bunch more wins this year. I think it's still going to be kind of the worst division in the NFC.
How did they all net out? Were they around 9 wins last year?
I think the winner was 9 wins. I think so. With Tampa,
it was either 9 or 8.
I think Tampa squeaked in with Brady for one last go, and then they got bounced. Yeah, they got bounced against the Cowboys in the wild card.
Okay, so the winning division was, or the winning team in the division was 8 and 9. That was Tampa, and then the next 3 had 7 wins each.
I have them being better than that this year. Well, some teams better than that this year, but I guess that's as good a segue as any to just we're aligned on the last place team. The win total not so much, but we both have Tampa Bay finishing in 4th place in this division. I have them with 6 wins, 6-11 total. Lucas has them with 2 wins.
2 wins
this year.
There's got to be dookie teams in the NFL.
But that's like an epic meltdown.
They got Baker at quarterback right now.
They still got a great defense. They still got Mike Evans. They still got Godwin.
Yeah,
they got talent.
Wide receivers are only as good as the guy throwing the ball.
They got talent, and they're in the NFC, and they're in the NFC South.
Godwin has fallen off tremendously, and that defense has all gotten a year older.
I agree with that.
I don't think this team has the juice anymore. I think they know they don't have the juice anymore. They might be putting on this charade that they do. They're bringing back the creamsicles only to get their asses whooped in them.
Against our Detroit
Lions. This team just does not have the juice. There's got to be a dookie team in the NFL, and this is one of 2 for me. So I think Tampa Bay is going to have a horrible season, go 2-15, and enter the sweepstakes to go get Caleb Williams.
I will say I do not think there's any way that whoever starts a quarterback for them this season finishes the season as a starter.
That's so true.
I'll leave it at that.
God, we should. DraftKings needs to make that a bet.
Just like starts for a guy, yeah.
Or
what week will get benched.
Teams that go the complete season with the same starter. That would be incredible. I feel like we would make a killing on that.
Similar to the AFC South, excuse me. We at our number 3 spot and 2 spot have a flip flop going on. You have the Panthers.
Is it as close? You're 2 and 3.
Yeah, these records they're close. They're close.
Okay.
But you have the Panthers at 9-8, and I have the Saints at 9-8.
Oh, extremely close. Okay. Yeah, I think Carolina has done vast improvements to this team to at least get 2 more wins. Obviously, the big question mark is going to be Bryce Young and how he adapts to the NFL. I think the defense is really good in place. I think the front office has done a tremendous job of getting him tools to get him acclimated into the NFL very quickly.
For what it's worth, the reports already out of Panthers camp is that he's been
lights out.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, what a shock.
I know, but you do hear rumblings. I mean, you see stuff with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask throwing duck passes and looking like dog shit. So you do see and hear things even at this stage.
I haven't heard a single thing out of Cardinals training camp. That definitely can't be a good sign. But yeah, I think Frank Reich is going to go on a little bit of a revenge tour and remind people of how good of a head coach he is. But I think in terms of the divisional matchups, Carolina might fall a little bit short. You have the Saints at 9-8.
Yeah, and we touched on a little bit with your pick of Chris Olave as a breakout candidate for this year. I think what it boils down to for me is I just don't really believe in the coaching on this team.
Completely fair.
I don't think they're going to be bad. I don't think they're going to be like terrible. I just don't think they're going to be like a problem for anybody.
Yep.
I think their defense is sneaky, very old. I think their offense has problems.
That's extremely accurate.
With Kamara missing time, with Michael Thomas coming back. Who knows what he's going to be. They re-signed Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
If you can believe this. So
I was astonished to hear that he was still in the league.
And people with Derek Carr, we already said it. He's an upgrade from what you had, but beyond that, I don't really know what you're going to get with him in this offense. So
yeah,
for me, they just felt like a team that they're not going to really surprise anyone, in my opinion. I kind of see them as third place and scrappy and in the running and like hanging on, but just not good enough to really take this division right now.
I tell you what, Al, you just talked me out of it. I'm flip-flopping my 2 and 3.
Okay.
So I had Carolina at 9-8 in third place. I'm bumping them up to second place, still at 9-8, but I'm bumping the Saints down to third place at 9-8. I completely agree with everything you just said.
Well, thank you. That's good to hear. And the Panthers at 2, I agree with everything you said about them.
Yeah.
And this division is kind of weak. The NFC is kind of weak. Every now and then you get a rookie who comes in and is special and leads a really good season where they're kind of competing for a playoff spot. Frank Reich is a good coach. Defense is well above average. I just see this working this year already with them. I had them at 10-7. I had them with one more win. I don't know if that's good enough to make the postseason. It was last year, so maybe it is. But I don't think they were a team that drafted a quarterback number 1 overall because they were the worst team in the league. They're a decent team. They really needed a quarterback, so they traded up to go get one.
They stopped playing shuffle. I don't know what's a game where musical chairs. Quarterbacks. They stopped playing musical chairs with quarterbacks. They decided this is the year we're going to trade up. We're going to get our guy.
And even if by some disaster Bryce Young wasn't working right now or he got injured or something, they do have Andy Dalton as the backup, and he's not
the worst backup.
Not the worst in the league, and he's a professional. He can be a backup in the NFL at a pretty high level, probably win you a game or two. So they're in good shape, and I have them number 2.
So we are aligned all the way throughout in terms of rankings. I have the Atlanta Falcons at 10-7. What did you have them at?
I had them one more game up, 11-6.
11-6. So we're expecting a pretty big jump out of the Falcons. We're expecting them to go from last place in the division to first place in the division.
I think we've just seen everything we needed to see from the coaching with a pretty bad roster the last 2 years that they've been competitive.
They got massive upgrades at defense this year, too.
I think the only big question mark is Desmond Ridder. But even that, they've got Heineke as a backup who's solid. So I think adding Bijan was huge. Tyler Algier had a nice year last year. Receivers are good.
Drake London
he's good.
Guy.
He's good. I'll leave it at that.
Kyle Pitts.
We'll see.
He's a person.
But defense is much better. Very winnable division. The schedule is pretty favorable for them. There's lots of doo-doo games on their schedule. I was looking at it. So
They get the Bears, they get the Cardinals, they get the Commanders. So I feel like all three of those right there should be wins.
But I will say, at the same time, as glowing as we've been about them this offseason, I would not be shocked at all if they ended up in like third in this division.
Yeah.
Like, it could go that way.
I would not be shocked if Tampa Bay wins. Well, I would be shocked if Tampa Bay wins this division again.
You'd be eating crow on that one.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I'm looking at last year's standings. If you had to guess at who had the biggest point differential in the division, who do you think it would be?
New Orleans.
Tampa Bay had a minus 45.
Wow.
The next highest was Carolina at minus 27.
That's a enormous gap.
Yes. Just a fun little fact for you all. Yeah, that's AFC and NFC South. Let's run it back one more time. I had the Colts finishing dead last in the South at 5-12, followed by the Houston Texans at 5-12, followed by Tennessee at 9-8, and Jacksonville winning the division at 12-5. Al, you had
the Titans at 5-12, fourth place. Texans at 6-11, third place. Colts, a little bit of surprise, 9 wins, 8 losses, second place, and the Jaguars 12-5, winning the division.
For the South, I had Tampa Bay at 2-15, New Orleans at 9-8, Carolina at 9-8, and Atlanta at 10-7. You had
Tampa Bay 6-11, New Orleans 9-8, Panthers 10-7, Falcons 11-6.
All right, let's talk Lions a little bit.
Let's go!
Okay, Al. Lions training camp news here. One thing I wanted to touch on just to start was Dan Campbell went on Pardon My Take, the very popular sports podcast this past week.
Podcast/circus. Surprised you went back after last year when, remember, wasn't there some shit that went on last year where he refused to go on the show at a certain point?
That was McAfee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's a clown show. Pardon My Take is a little bit more respectable. But he went on Pardon My Take, and obviously he played into a joke that they had made where he wanted a live lion on the sideline. And Campbell played into the joke, said that, yeah, I wanted one. Sheila was all for it, but the NFL wouldn't let us do it. The thing I have with this, I don't understand why this is such a tweetable story. It's so fucking stupid.
I have a one-word answer. I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
Context.
Yeah, okay.
Because when you read that, like friend of the show, Judd, sent that link to us to read. I just saw the headline. I'm like, this is just a whatever comment. I'm not going to look into this very much. But people see that comment, that headline on Twitter. What?
Yeah.
No way. Like, they actually think it, like, put real stock into it.
They thought that he wanted to get a live line on the sideline.
So context would be my explanation.
It's just so stupid, and it really. I just wanted to talk about it. But that's pretty much all I had regarding that podcast. I listened to most of it. I really liked what Campbell had to say. They touched on, like, you have these massive expectations. Does the motivation that you give the team change at all? And he kind of, I think you will really resonate with this, Al, but he said, like, we haven't won shit. Like, yeah, we made a great run at the end of the year last year. Did we win the division? No, the Vikings did. And the Packers have won it year in, year out before that. So
Campbell, for me, has always been pretty good with the media and stuff like that. Like, I feel like it's not that he always says the right thing, but he definitely says, like, he says some truths that as a Lions fan, things like that, where I'm just like, yeah, he gets it. Like, he knows what this team historically has been. He played for this team. He's been the coach for, this is his third year now. Like, he knows what the Detroit Lions have been. So yeah, I resonate with those comments.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, training camp news. One thing that we haven't touched on right now, and something that the Lions have been searching for a while here, is a kicker. We have a two-man race for the kicker position right now. One being Parker Romo, who is, as this Detroit Free Press article points out, an XFL refugee. Really
the word
interesting
choice
wording.
is
Former XFL player. And the other one is former Lions kicker who was kicking for us in 2021, Riley Patterson.
which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we traded a draft pick to get him back.
I believe so. I think we traded Jacksonville. 6th, 7th round.
It was a late round pick.
I pray it was 7th. But yeah, we have Riley Patterson back on the team. We let go. Who the hell was kicking for us last year?
Bailey. Or, no. Oh, God. What was it? Number 17? Badgley. Michael Badgley.
Yeah.
17. Yeah, that dude. Yeah. It was fine. He was fine.
Yeah, I thought he was good. So it looks like it's been a pretty close race so far. Romo, yeah. Oh, I don't like that name for a kicker. That's like a bad omen, I feel like. Anytime you hear Romo associated with field goal, you immediately go back to that Seattle playoff game. And that image of Romo holding his helmet. So I hope he doesn't win, if I'm being completely honest. 1 of 2 from long distance in a situational period at the end of practice. Patterson went 2 of 3 in that time frame, and 1 of 2 at the end of practice. On Monday, they both went 4 out of 5 attempts. And Romo has rare leg strength, 57-yard field goal near the end of practice. Might have been good from 67, according to this article.
Do you have a winner in your mind of this battle?
I think Patterson's going to win it. I think Patterson's a little bit more consistent.
He's played in the league for a couple seasons now, and also when you trade draft capital to get him, regardless of how minuscule it is, I feel like he's got a leg up, no pun intended.
Another con for Romo, he's wearing number 24, not a kicker number.
Yeah.
Not a kicker number. I feel like that would be a huge con for you. I feel like you pay a lot more attention to that.
In today's NFL, when 0 is a number and linebackers can wear 20, who cares? I'm just whatever at this point. I wasn't for it initially. I'm still kind of don't love that, but it is what it is.
And then on Wednesday, which I think was possibly today, Patterson made 41-44 and then missed wide left of the hash at 48. Romo hit from 41 and 48, but missed wide right from 44. You know what that tells me? I feel like Patterson's more consistent and will know his leg a little bit better. So when, it's 4th down and 2 from the, 40, right? Or from the 30, 32, 33, and we got to go kick a 48-yard field goal, Campbell will do what we know and go for it. Or, if time's winding down, we're a little bit more dialed in from 44, he'll be like, all right, I know Patterson can go make this. We know that Patterson has the clutch gene too. Don't forget he made the as time expired 36-yarder for the Jacksonville Jaguars last year to beat the Los Angeles Chargers in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was legitimately bummed when they got rid of him last offseason. I was kind of shocked. I thought he had a nice run with the Lions and had some room to grow, so I was surprised to see them move on from him, and I'm glad he's back.
And Patterson and Romo
for now.
hit. Yeah. Let's not get too attached. They both hit from 57 and missed from 61. Patterson's kick fell short while Romo's was a few yards to the right. So that's kind of what's going on with the kicker battle right now. Let's change gears. Let's talk, I would say arguably the most talked about Lions player in training camp right now. Jameson Williams.
I guess they're just not used to scoring touchdowns.
On Monday, he recorded several drops and apparently threw a punch at a undrafted free agent cornerback. I don't even remember his name, to be completely honest. But that obviously started a lot of talk.
Another great look for JMO.
About his maturity and et cetera, et cetera. I've seen reports saying that was blown out of proportion. That wasn't the right context. And then he was quick to rebound on Wednesday, made multiple catches, including unleashed a deep ball roughly 50 yards down the field. He was had a ton of separation on Cam Sutton, so an experienced corner. Al, what do you make of this?
One other note, I heard on 97.1 The Ticket.
Oh boy.
It wasn't a hot take from anybody. It was just like a news reporting brief sort of thing between shows. But they had mentioned the JMO stuff, and then they also had mentioned that apparently he was planning on over this weekend, which is a couple days from now, putting in additional time solo to go catch more balls and practice some more when the team's not doing stuff like formally. So that was one positive. I'll say I'm glad to see he's put some extra work in. I'm glad to hear that he had a rebound day on Wednesday. But yeah, it's just last show I kind of put my line in the sand with him. I'm a little over him right now, and it's partially kidding, it's partially not. So hearing that he's punching teammates, dropping catches on top of everything else that's going on, it's just like, oh boy, like let's just focus on getting on the field and being productive and forget all the nonsense that's been going on. So I'm not in love with Jameson Williams right now.
I'm still in on him. I think he is going to be electric week 7. I think we're going to see just a tremendous amount of 50-yard plus touchdowns from him this year.
That's what I want. That'd be great.
I know that's what you want. I don't know if you believe it, though.
I don't. He's missing 6 weeks, so when he comes back, he's going to have to
kick it into gear
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And he's not really had a whole lot of NFL experience, so that's kind of a lot to ask. He was good last year in flashes, but it's just another year where he's off to a slow start. Lots of red flags.
Absolutely. The only other thing I wanted to talk about real quick was we're not seeing so much shuffling on the defense, but they are shuffling around that secondary, which I appreciate because we have a lot of guys that can go play in that secondary right now.
I feel like they kind of did that last year a little bit too.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But last year they needed it.
Like they were like, they're trying who the fuck can we put out there?
Exactly.
Right, the one surprising shift came from Brian Branch now getting into first team drills. It looks like he was operating out of the slot with CJ Gardner-Johnson shifting back to safety. Here's a little twist with Kirby Joseph. Tracy Walker, while this could be just helping him kind of get back into the swing of things coming off that big injury, Tracy Walker was rotating in with the first and second teams, adding some experience to the second unit, which was without Melifonwu. I can't wait to see what this secondary looks like starting day. Who do we put out there? Who do we start with?
I'm just excited to hear Brian Branch is more involved at that level with the first team because I'm excited for him. I think he fell to the Lions at a good spot in the draft and
great spot.
Definitely a steal pick on paper.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what he does in the secondary. It's been so atrocious the last couple of years.
Worst in the league.
Looking
by far.
Very forward to a change there, and I think you have some veterans there now that are respectable, some guys who've been around for a minute, some young guys coming up. It's a really interesting mix, and I think it's going to be a lot better than last year.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they scheme up. I mean, you look at cornerback with Mosley, Sutton, Jacobs, CJ Gardner-Johnson plays a little bit of that slot corner with safety. You know, you got Kirby, you got Tracy Walker, who's been a team captain for years now. Melifonwu, who's coming into his own. You got Will Harris still on the team somehow. And, we get this absolute gift from God dropping into our lap with Brian Branch being taken in the second round, relatively late in the second round, I might add. So it's just going to be really interesting. This is a perfect segue into my last topic. Preseason being right around the corner. Our first preseason game is, I believe, on the 11th against the New York Giants. Al, do you have any players in mind that you are excited to get a first look at?
I have two, and I'll keep it brief with both of them just because we're at the tail end here.
Yeah.
Offensive side of the ball, I'm kind of excited to see Denzel Mims.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he hasn't been here all that long, but I wonder how involved he'll be with the first team, if at all, and kind of how they scheme him up, and if there's anything there with him. I think he's had a unlucky spot to be drafted by the Jets in his first couple of years of his career.
How old is he now?
He's probably in his mid-20s, probably 25, 24, 25. I think he's still pretty young. But with J-Mo missing time, and
25.
With J-Mo missing time, and I think everyone below on the depth chart, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, it's kind of a question mark. I know we have Marvin Jones back, but it'd be nice to have a guy right in that prime window coming out of a bad situation. Maybe he's a little better than we thought he was, and maybe get him involved, and maybe he's like a contributor. So he's someone I'm kind of looking forward to on the offensive side of the ball. Defense, and it's really just based on what you had said last week when we were talking Lions. I'm kind of excited to see Aleem McNeil.
Yeah.
You mentioned that he reportedly shed about 20 pounds.
He's looking a lot leaner.
I'm curious to see how that impacts his play and how they use him, because his size was a huge part of his game. He's just a big, massive dude.
Yep.
I wonder if he'll be quicker. I wonder if he'll be getting better pressure because he's faster. So if there's any drop off in his play, I don't know. He's kind of interesting case. And I think on that defensive line, you're hoping that he is a starter. I mean, I don't know how much he'll play in the preseason. I think he'll probably get some action, but he's someone I'm kind of curious to watch on the defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. On that same note, and I think I know why this might be, the person that I'm looking most forward to seeing in preseason game 1, and I assume he's going to get a good amount of playing time, will be Broderick Martin. And I think this is because that's the one area on defense that we just don't know about yet, right? Like, we're hoping McNeil takes a big leap. We're hoping Broderick Martin is one of those 5th-round finds from Brad Holmes or 4th-round finds from Brad Holmes where, he finds the steal of the draft like an Amon-Ra or Malcolm Rodriguez sort of deal.
And James Houston is not bunched into the defensive tackles, is he?
No. Houston's edge.
Okay.
Outside linebacker, rusher. It's Broderick Martin, it's Aleem McNeil, it's Isaiah Buggs, and I think we have one other one that I'm
Kaminsky, isn't he back?
Kaminsky's back. I think he's also technically a defensive end. But that plug in the middle, right? Like, who is going to step up and secure that spot? Is it going to be McNeil? Is it going to be Buggs? Which I assume it's actually going to be Buggs, but who's going to fill the other role?
I think the other guy you were thinking of is that guy from the Chargers, that Covington dude. He was a free agent sign.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Chris Covington, I think his name is.
So, Martin, he has gotten a great amount of talk, stories written about him in this training camp timeline. And I'm excited to watch him play. He's a big boy. So I'm really excited to see how he tends to plug up the middle. Offensive side of the ball, I feel like the pressure's on for James Mitchell right now. Laporta gets drafted early 2nd round. Obviously, that's not what you want to see if you're a tight end that was drafted last year. But unfortunately and fortunately for James Mitchell, a window might have just opened after Shane Zylstra got a pretty nasty injury and got waived by the Lions and put on the injury reserve list or whatever. I don't know what list he got put on, but some sort of injury list, and he's probably
he's shut down for the year.
Yeah, a long time.
6 months, I thought I read minimum.
So James Mitchell, it's your time to shine. You got to prove yourself here, and you got to prove yourself pretty quickly. They just brought in 2 more tight ends, 2 guys that I've never heard of in my life. But nevertheless, you have not made your mark on this team at all in your very short 1 year that was also coming off an injury. So I'm excited to see what James Mitchell does. I think he can certainly make a name for himself this preseason and really lock up whether it's that tight end 2 ahead of Brock Wright, which I highly doubt, or that tight end 3 spot. So any other final notes before we sign off, Al?
We're not going to see any of Hendon Hooker, right?
No.
Is he just shut down for now? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
He would be number 1 for me.
Yeah.
If he was
reasonable.
active, because he'd probably be getting the bulk of the time. So that's disappointing.
All right, let's close the show out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. Thank you again for listening to Gridiron Zeros podcast.
Fuck off.
Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. Gridiron Zeros.
Let's get those views on YouTube up a little bit. The last couple have been not good.
Yeah.
Let's get those up.
We will be sure to plug us out on YouTube. Plug us out. What am I talking about here? We will plug the YouTube on Twitter and TikTok, so be sure, if you're not following us on there, go subscribe, go give us a listen on there.
And share it with your friends.
Share it with your friends. Tell everybody about it. Tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your father, tell your brother. All that good jazz. Lock of the week. We're back into the swing of things. I gave you the Detroit Lions future, where they go 6-0 in the division games this year at plus 1,500 this week. I'm coming back to you. I just realized that they probably will not be able to listen to this by the time, or they probably won't be able to bet this by the time this airs.
Maybe do something else.
There's other preseason. Oh, no, there's not other preseason games listed. Can I bet on Jake Paul and Nate Diaz?
It's preseason, baby. Bet on whatever you want.
Well, that's boxing. So
yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
Fuck off.
All right, here we go. Under 7.5 rounds. This is a really good lock, everybody. I put a lot of thought into this. Under 7.5 rounds, minus 110 in the Jake Paul Nate Diaz fight. We're not counting this one towards the record. That was a on-the-fly lock of the week for you.
God almighty, I'm ready to get back to football bets for lock of the week.
Yes, me too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you next week. Until then, make good choices, make good decisions.
Fuck off.